Hey everyone, and welcome to the Doctors of Running podcast, where we, a group of doctors of physical therapy, talk about the art and the science of the things that we put on our feet. Today, we are doing a mailbag episode, and it is myself and Dr. Sloss with me today. We are going to be having some great questions and great conversations. I'm excited. I'm hoping there are some disagreements and some hot takes from some of these questions. And we always really appreciate it. We actually got so many questions. Obviously, this is going to be a multi-session mailbag just because we got enough and we really want to get to these. So if you don't hear your stuff today, we will probably get it on to the next episode or so just because we had some really, really, really great ones. So we're going to start off, though, with our segment that we're going to try to make more consistent with is our what are we running in right now? So David, what shoes are you running in right now?
Yeah, I'll run through a few, but I'll make it quick, mainly because coming out tomorrow, which will be in the past time by the time this comes out, but have a trail roundup coming out of some of the trail running shoes that we've been running in, looking forward into the summer. So just a few of those things that we got. Salomon S-Lab Pulsar 4, lightweight, aggressive trail racing shoe, sub-ultra. Brooks Cascadia 19. Reliable tank that it's always been. Nice and comfortable. Good for hiking and running. Puma Deviate Nitro Elite Trail. This was a fun one. It's kind of like an all-terrain one. I mean, they meant for it to be like an all-terrain, but like you could run on the road with this if you really wanted to.
I've done like tons of road workouts in that shoe. Like I have lots of miles in that shoe. I'm really enjoying it. I like half of the 50 miles I have in that shoe is on the road doing workouts. So it's been great.
But it does well on the trail too. Don't let that be like, oh, it's only a trail. Yeah. It's only a road shoe. Like,
it doesn't do the greatest on technical trails.
No.
Yeah, good surfaces. Yeah.
And I mentioned that in the roundup as well. I almost said review, but it's not a full review. We have the Topo Vista, another one I have been liking. I know you had like a weird thing with your upper, right, where it kind of tore.
It's been a good like walking, hiking shoe. I've done a little running in it. Unfortunately, Topo sent it to my old address, and so I got it. And I don't know if it's just been sitting out in the sun too long, but even wearing it around in Southern California, the upper right under my medial arch just tore a little bit. It hasn't, the integrity is still there. Like it hasn't torn any farther. It just, there's some like, but it's been fine since then. But some upper issues. Yeah.
I feel like that was just like a weird thing. Like mine's held up fine.
Yeah.
But it's good. 4mm Vibram Mega Grip lugs. It's meant to be like their plush trail shoe. And I feel like it does get that across. I feel like the zip foam's softer. They have an insole in there that's supposed to be like a high rebound insole and be water resistant. And like, I don't know how much of the like plushness is from the insole or the foam, but this is it feels like a softer zip foam than the other ones.
It's certainly softer compared to their other models for sure.
Yeah. So kind of like meant to be like that comfortable tank of a trail shoe. I like it, I like them both between the Cascadia and Topo Vista. And then one shoe that I'm actually really excited to bring up is the On Cloud Ultra Pro. And this one is really nice. I don't want to like throw it around too much because I don't want to get dirt everywhere, but I haven't been like wowed by a trail shoe in a while where I was just like, oh my God, like this is cool. Yeah. And this one did that for me. Like I almost immediately. And I was like, this is different. Like this is something that I could definitely see myself running long hours and miles in the event that I was. Yeah. But it's kind of funny. It's got a really big rockered heel and then a kind of more gradual forefoot. And it's a dual layer Helion HF. So you're getting the super foam on both the top layer and the bottom layer. And then they put a speed board through the middle there. Yep.
It's not carbon fiber. I think it's fiberglass, actually.
Yeah. But the speed board's never really been carbon fiber outside of their racing models.
Yeah, you're right. There's been a few of them they had like carbon infused, but I think you are right. What exactly the material is, I don't know. That's a great question that I can't speak to. But I totally agree with you. I just took this out this morning for 9 miles, pushing a stroller on gravel. And it did great. And it was really interesting because a lot of super shoes, I feel like they are trail, depending on the trail model. There's a couple of them maybe not, but usually you're just like, okay, like I would not spend $250 on this or whatever it is. This shoe was like, whoa, this is comfortable. I'd actually worn this like for all day wear previously going, this is really comfortable. It's not a fast shoe. It's just like the size of the shoe is probably just a little bit much, but man, like you put this on, you could just get in a rhythm and go. The upper is great, really light, and just there's plenty of room. I would say almost maybe too much. I probably need to lock down the laces a little bit more. Too much initially, but when your feet swell, it's great. Just this, and not unstable, not overly stable, but not unstable either, and just sits nicely in the middle. I'm very impressed, and probably one of the few shoes, and I'll keep testing durability, but even some road crossings, the lugs are holding up pretty well. So I think one of the few where I'm like, oh, I'm actually a little bit impressed with the trail super shoe. With most of them I've been kind of disappointed in, with the exception of Puma, but I feel like that's a road trail shoe.
By saying I am a little impressed is a big statement, considering every other shoe is I'm disappointed.
Yeah. Like,
but no, I actually really liked it. I agree. The upper fits really well. I actually didn't have any issues with the lockdown. I felt like the midfoot cinched down pretty well, and there was a lot of forefoot volume for swelling.
Yeah.
And it felt really good. I actually really liked it. Very bouncy, very plush, but it doesn't feel like I have to go fast to engage it. I can definitely settle into rhythm. And in fact, it feels good there.
Right. It feels, it's not one of the super shoes that feel weird when you're like, I'm jogging to warm up. It's like, oh no, this adapts right to me. I'm like, it feels good to jog. It feels good to get in the rhythm. And I agree. That's not
if I was racing like a trail 10K or something, I wouldn't wear it. But like if I was racing an ultra, well, I think right now, at least initially, that might be my shoe.
Yeah, I might grab that as well, for sure. Shorter stuff, Puma, for sure. But longer stuff.
Yeah, comparing the two. Or the Pulsar. I mean, this one's pretty solid. It's different though. It's so hard. I mean, you guys can read this in the roundup, but the step in is so snug. Like getting your foot into the shoe is kind of tough, but once it's in there, then it fits well. And then it's nimble, and it's like, it wants to go fast.
I'm sorry, Solomon. I'm going to say having run in the previous version, I actually ran cross-country races in the previous version because I knew I wasn't going to be able to handle cross-country spikes. And I love that shoe. It's the lightest trail shoe. I think it was, or like close to being the lightest trail shoe. No, it was like 7 something.
Oh, the previous light.
One? The new one, they pack on a bunch of weight. It's still super overly snug. I'm like, I'm kind of disappointed.
It's like 8 ounces. Come on.
No, it went up quite a bit. I'm like, I'm kind of disappointed. Like, I get that you added more cushioning. I know. I'm just, this is me personally. I was disappointed after running the previous one that they maximalized it, and not every shoe needs to be. We're gonna have some questions on that actually, but I was disappointed. But I need to give it another shot. But my initial impressions are disappointment.
But it's one of the ones where the Puma one doesn't do as well in technical terrain. This could easily hit technical terrain.
That's fair.
I think it also depends on like what you're looking for in the model.
Very fair.
Yeah.
There's a person that fits for. Yeah.
We're dragging on here, but I'm gonna go very, very quick through these next ones because that's what I just wrote the roundup on. Going up into this next week, we have Rabbit Dream Chaser. It's gonna be road week for me. Skechers Aero Tempo just came in. Solomon Aero Blaze 3. What is? Yeah, Aero Blaze 3. I'm actually really excited about that one. And then another one, Mizuno Wave Rider 29. I'm actually really excited about this too because the Energy Next foam feels significantly different than the previous Energy foams. Like much more plush, and it feels really bouncy. But I haven't run in it yet, so I'm curious to see how the run experience is once we actually get this thing going. But all 4 of those I'm pretty excited for. It's been a pretty loaded last couple of weeks from a shoe standpoint, but it's a good thing.
Sweet, that's a good thing. Yep. All right. Do you mind if I take it?
Go for it.
Sweet. So I already talked about the On Cloud Ultra Pro, which is kind of the major trail shoe, and I'm living in Sherwood, Oregon, trying to go find a couple more gravel roads around here. They exist. It just takes a little drive to get to them. So been testing some stuff there. I got to give a shout out, and I might get some hate for this, as I just watched I don't know if you've seen this, the Running in Japan guy put up a episode hating on shoe reviewers, which I also thought was hilarious, but he made some good points. One of the things he's irritated with is like reviewers getting shoes like way before they get released. And this shoe doesn't come out till November of 2025, but I have it right now.
There's no embargo?
Not that there's reviews out already on it.
Okay.
Or we'll just cut this. So the Brooks Adrenaline 25, I have not been impressed with Adrenaline for a long time. And this shoe isn't sexy. It's not super fast. It's just good. It's just solid. It's simple. It's got a good amount of stability in the midfoot and heel. And it just goes. It's not bouncy. It's not crazy. It's a little bit softer from the last one. But in my opinion, the upper fits way better, a little bit softer, transitions a little bit better. I've just been enjoying miles. So we're probably not going to drop our review till it gets closer to that date. And I'm hoping I have a couple like 100 or 200 miles on that shoe by then, because I'm just going to see how the durability really goes and really test it out there. But I keep saying, I want to say Hurricane, different shoe. Adrenaline 25, it's the same year, but has been really, really good so far. From a faster training standpoint, I am really enjoying the Hyperion Max 3. Andrea and I did an episode where we talked about this, and she hates it, and I'm enjoying it. It is not quite stable enough for me, but I'm still handling it, and I really like where Brooks is going, as they are certainly starting to get more of a performance edge. So this is a good, really first good start using PIBA foams. And we didn't get to test the Hyperion Elite for PB. Supposedly version 5 might be something we get to test. We'll have to see, but I'm really excited. I also know why some of the stuff is coming in. And one of our people that's asked us the question is probably the reason why, although we can't confirm that. So Tina, I have a suspicion that you influenced this, as are the many good people at Brooks. So yeah, it's been good, just not as stable as I would like. And probably final one right now that's really surprised me has been the ASICS Metaspeed Sky. And Dave and I have gone back and forth in the chat about this a little bit, but I have not liked the Sky since version 1, since the OG, ironically, the previous Tokyo. I didn't like the Plus. I didn't like the Paris. It just didn't work. And I will say that this shoe is working a lot better than the Edge, because the Edge is actually making my forefoot hurt and is too stiff. Like, it works really well going at like maybe 10K, maybe 5K pace, but like anything outside of that is just not comfortable. This version is doing much better. I will say, and this is a conversation for a different day, that some of the weights and stuff like that, like, it's a fun shoe, but it's so aggressive that it's getting a little uncomfortable. But that kind of reminds me of where things used to be, where the racing flats did not used to be comfortable. They didn't used to be these plush, super cushion, like, oh, this feels really good. It was like, this kind of hurts, but it's so light. I'm going to grind through this because I want the lightest shoe possible. I think this is one of those shoes we're kind of getting back to that a little bit. And so that people may disagree with me, but it's, when you start getting into these weight ranges and you still have this much stack height, like, there are a sacrifice you have to make. And I think it's a great shoe. It's just,
it's also just good. Crazy responsive.
It's crazy responsive, and it's just not the most comfortable thing in the world, but the Sky is probably going to be doing a lot of races in, probably actually next week. So we'll see what happens.
No, I get it. Yeah. Like, initially I was like, oh, I might be converted, right? Because I've always been Team Edge the entire way. And, once I got some real miles and some longer stuff in it, then I was like, okay, no, I'm still Edge. Just because that, like, flight foam, oh my gosh, why am I blanking? The Leap.
It's the FF Leap,
Yeah, the flight foam Leap is so, like, compliant. Yeah. And that heel's very soft. And it's like, I feel like if I'm not stabilizing myself well, like, if I'm able to keep good mechanics and run well, then the shoe flies. But the second I start losing myself, that shoe just starts sending me in all kinds of different directions. I'm like, okay, like, this isn't for me. I kind of need that more rigid heel that the Edge has. Yeah. And then that just suits me much better to just lever off that great toe. So I totally get it. Like, that shoe's very exciting. I just can't control it as well myself.
And I think that's probably what I'm feeling, is having a hard time controlling both of them. Like, it's a great shoe. It's a massive improvement from the prior versions, but I think the prior versions were more comfortable. So when I had the Edge Paris, I was like, this shoe's going to crush it. Like, this is going to take out the Alpha Fly. Like, I'm using this for all this different stuff. And so Alpha Fly and Edge were the shoes of the year. And it was clearly like nobody was even close to those two. The Edge like took out the Alpha Fly by a good amount, just because it just fit my foot really well. This year, I think things are going to be a lot closer. We still have another half year to go. So we'll have to see what the end of the year comes with. But I think there's a lot more contention for best racing shoe of the year this year compared to last. I think just because, you still need some, if you're going to run long, you still need some comfort in there. But we'll see after I go racing these. Maybe I'll change my mind on Friday when I do a 4th of July 5K and drop a fast time with the stroller. So we'll see what happens.
There you go.
If you're looking to crush your next training cycle and your next race, you might want to have the right tools in your tool belt to make the right decisions within your training. Stride has a dual pod system that allows you to train and get feedback based on power metrics, footpath guidance, and it also accommodates and is able to take into account a lot of the things that may happen on any given day, like different terrain and hills or wind. You can take the guessing game out of some of the decisions that you need to make with your training, and also be able to really dial in what race day is going to look like depending on what the situation of the day brings, whether it's a very hilly course or if you're going to be facing a big headwind. So if you want to dial in your training and have a ton of success on race day, adding a tool to your tool belt like Stride is going to be able to help you make the progress and make the success that you want.
All right. So we are going to go into our mailbag episode. And for those who have not followed us before or not listened, our mailbag is where we actually reach out to the community and ask people, hey, what do you want to know? Like, we have things we always want to talk about, but we do this for you. We do this because we want to educate people. As we've said many times before, with all the shoe reviews, all this stuff, we do not accept compensation. We do this because we enjoy it and because we want to share information. And as our background as physical therapists, our thought is we want to help you prevent things. We want to help teach you things. So we also want to figure out, what do you want to know? And that's where these mailbag episodes come in. People are generous enough to spend a few minutes or hours, depending on how long it is, sending questions in. And so we're going to take time to go through each one of these, address it, kind of get our thoughts on it, and hopefully get you an answer that helps you learn something from this. Because that's, again, we're going to learn, and hopefully you're going to learn as well. So our first one is from a very special friend, Drew Whitcomb from Wear Testers, who says, my son, who's 11 years old, has plantar fasciitis symptoms on and off during track this season. I see a tons of info about treating plantar fasciitis in adults. Where do I start with the kid that's growing like a weed? David, why don't you take this, or at least start?
Yeah, for those that don't know, Drew's got some height on him. I imagine your 11-year-old is growing at a pretty rapid rate. I can only imagine. It's tough. Sometimes the connective tissue doesn't grow quite as quickly as the bones, and you kind of get this kind of bowstring effect sometimes in some of the tendons and things. I think I don't want to, not overly cautious or careful, but like being mindful of load management and not overdoing things while they're getting into these sports, regardless, whatever activity it is. Drew's also an excellent hooper. So I don't know if your son's hooping at all, but just making sure that you have a variety of different stimuli and trying to get that leg exposed to just doing different things and keeping things fun. He's still 11, right? So things don't need to be overly serious just yet. And I think sometimes when people specialize really quick and they go into training and doing things hard, like injuries come up, especially when you're growing at a really fast rate. And so I think in the short term, they're really young. They're going to bounce back quick usually. So in the short term, give it some rest, see if it calms down, give it a variety of different stimuli. But I would be hesitant to go all in on like, okay, you got to get on this regimen. You got to be doing this. You got to be doing that. Like, at this stage, it's like, just let them kind of develop some of the motor skills in coordinating their own body, right? Because as you get that length, I mean, I was kind of one of those when I finally did start growing, like I had these long limbs and I was like, what do I do with them? I looked like a noodle, running around, just a wet noodle. My nickname was Gumby in college, so it takes a while to kind of, sometimes even like in college, right? Like I just said, in college. So like it can take a while to fully adjust to your body as you're growing. And I think just in the short term, obviously like rest it a little bit, let it get better, and just get things, a variety of different stimuli, and just slowly work towards whatever sport you're wanting to do. But it's easy to overdo things, especially when you're growing that quickly. So just being mindful of it without being overly cautious.
Yep. I would say load management, understanding that some of this is completely normal, is really key. And so what's different from adults is that kids are actively growing. So their bones are typically growing at a much faster rate than their soft tissue is. The soft tissue gets pulled. So like, especially if you've got a kid that's really, really tall, like that stuff's got to stretch. So irritation of the stuff is totally normal. So you're going to see also things like Sever's disease, which sounds really bad. It's just where you get a little bit of irritation in the Achilles tendon where it inserts because it's pulling, and you'll see the heel bone, calcaneus, start to grow a little bit. It's not as commonly talked about, but you'll see the exact same thing in the plantar fascia. Osgood Slaughter's is another example of this at the knee with the patellar tendon, where you'll get a little bump in the front just because the bone's getting pulled on because the quads aren't quite getting the range of motion as the things are. So as tolerated, be careful how aggressive you do this. Yes, doing some gentle, if things aren't irritable. If things are super irritable, do not be doing aggressive stretching because that'll just pull and yank on stuff even more. But as things calm down, going, all right, let's get a little bit of mobility here, maybe calm stuff down, some gentle stretching. You see, can we actually get the tissue, get a little bit more length? Just know that's going to cause some extreme soreness, just because when you stretch a muscle and you're working it out too, you're using new length. So don't be surprised with some more soreness. So maybe some gentle stretching might be helpful. Take a look, especially with plantar fasciitis. Make sure is it actually the plantar fascia, or is it just one of the intrinsic foot muscles? So like rolling the bottom of your foot out, or being able to work on some foot strength, which may be as simple as like doing some like toe exercises, or if you can not everybody can do this, coordinate the short foot exercise. Or it can be just slowly introducing some barefoot walking around can be helpful. If that's not the case, you might need to do, like David said, you could either, if it's bad enough, if it's on off, that's not as bad. But if it's bad enough, you might want to try, in some cases, do some arch support, either a shoe that has it or like one of the insoles that do something like that. And don't get a special one, get one of the over-the-counter ones because they work just as well. And go, hey, does this help? If that helps, then this might be a little bit of the kid might need a little support. If it doesn't do anything, don't worry about that, because more than likely, as David said, it's just the tissue getting used to this. The thing that can be helpful that I would encourage is appropriate load management, which means making sure you got good rest, good nutrition, good sleep, recovery, but also going, hey, which not a lot of kids get in school, is can we do some appropriate at the right time of season, not at the end of the season. During the off season is when you do this, start introducing some strength training, some calf raises, some like kind of more intense foot strength stuff, some lower extremity strength, because we do know that decreased lower extremity strength can be a risk factor for plantar fasciitis. Or fasciopathy is probably the better term. So introducing some careful, as David said, load management, teaching your body to tolerate more load, increasing the capacity is what strength training does, so that you can tolerate more during season might be some things to think about. But think about a lot of these and experiment with these during the off season, so that when they get to the season, they're not adding all these additional variables, which when you add a bunch of extra stuff, that itself can cause injuries. So load management, see about some extra strength stuff would be really good. Make sure recovery is on point. Some soft tissue stuff for support might be helpful, may not, and then go from there. And it will probably get better and eventually go away, to be totally honest. Sweet.
That's a great answer.
Ready for the next one?
Let's do it.
All right. And I'm going to read this verbatim. Our best friend, Tina Danforth, who we have a lot of connection with. Can we share this? That she started at Mizuno and was very kind to us and was on the podcast a bunch of times, and then moved over to Brooks. And we need to get her back. I think we've talked to her once, and then
we had her on the end of year thing with the TRE event.
Yep. So we'll try to get her back, because she's a really cool human being. And I blame her for some of the performance changes at Brooks that are so positive, but it's a whole team that obviously goes this. But I'm wondering if she has a strong impact, because she did some really fun stuff at Mizuno. But she has maybe the most wild question. And her question is, what shoe have you been seated that the color is so bad that you just couldn't wear it, or you can't wear it? She's doing present tense. Do you have an answer?
Can't wear it.
Yeah,
man. Oh, geez. It's tough. I think I'm pretty easygoing with colorways. Like I've worn the Asics Tri-Nusa to work.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm wearing like confetti all over the place looking colors, but actually the most recent Nusa we got, though, that one was a little bit the weird chartreusey, brownie kind of. That one looked a little off. Like I think the year before that, where it was like almost a tie-dye, like white with the orange and the blue, I think the colors like blended together really well for as crazy as the colorway was. But maybe that most recent news, I was like, eh. And then whatever they're doing with their brown over there, I like the Cumulus, the most recent one. I wasn't a huge fan of that color, but it's not so ugly I can't wear it.
Yeah.
Right? Like
no.
I'm pretty easygoing. Like when it comes to colors, I feel like most people, a lot of times there's designers and there's a whole team that comes out with making these shoes before they get to the market. Right. So usually they look presentable enough. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like sometimes the wild ones are fun. I think it's just sometimes when certain colors just don't mesh. What about you? Do you have anything that you're just like, nah, that just wasn't it?
I will wear anything. I will tell two stories that the Nusa Tri actually got me in trouble at work, because a lot of shoes that we bring in, I'll usually break them in by walking around in them. And I didn't think that West Coast, which was where I previously taught, would think that much of a big deal and the students don't care. But the campus director came up to me and was like, we need to have a talk about like your professionalism with your shoe choice. Jesus. And I was like, there are a lot of problems at that institution. The students are phenomenal. A lot of the other faculty are great. But like, I was like, this is your priority right now. Like, so, basically I'm diverting responsibility from the fact that I probably shouldn't have worn those because they were not the most professional, but they didn't get written up, but I was like, just a mild warning about like, let's be a little more professional with your shoe color choice here at work. And I was like, all right. I understand. I still ran to them, but it was fine. The other thing, my other story about this is back when I was a bit more sensitive, when I was working running stores before PT school, I got a pair of Mizuno Wave Universe 4s, which were the lightest racing shoe at that point, although the New Balance RC 5000 would challenge that a little bit later. And I loved that shoe. And it looked like there was this really awesome red colorway. So working at Fit Right Northwest, I'm like, I'm ordering those. I'm going to grab these. And when they came in, they were like hot pink. And I was like, oh man, like
hot pink's cool though, man.
I mean, this is like
I know. This is so before like Nike rolled out hot pink spikes on everybody and like
So I was just like, man, can I wear these? And so I did, and I'm happy I did because I actually set my 5K PR, like all-time PR those. So I ran 14:45 and like several high 14:40 and 14:50s in those shoes. So I would say I was almost nervous about it, and I'm glad that I put them on because it was totally worth it. So nope, I haven't been seated in color where I wouldn't wear it because I'll wear anything.
I'm the same way. I'm very pro pink, by the way. Keep the pink shoes coming.
Dude, one of my favorite colorways was the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3. Like they sent that, it was like a bright pink colorway. Yep. I love that shoe. It is my favorite. I think it might be my favorite Saucony racing shoe outside of the Endorphin Elite. And I rocked that at several races, and it was great shoe. Also, and the great,
and it had little sparkles on it too.
Yeah, it had pink sparkles. It was great. I specific race. Remember crushing a race up at not Mount Baldy, but like Wrightwood area, California mountains up at altitude. It was like, yeah.
I remember getting crushed by someone wearing those shoes.
Yeah, that also happened. All right. So another friend from Brooks, Evan Day, asks, through a patient treatment lens, anything you wish shoes on the market did today to help patients that they don't or could be better at, like things to add change with uppers, heel counters, midsoles, etc.
Yeah, I could think of something. It's funny because I feel like this would probably be more in your camp, but every once in a while I have patients have a hard time finding shoes from a posterior Achilles, like pressure from the heel counter, and whether they have a Haglund's or they're having an Achilles repair, or I mean, I work in orthopedics, right? So like I'm going to be seeing operations on these things all the time. And sometimes it can be a little tricky. And like people, like I think having options that don't have a stiff heel counter, just pushing up against that calcaneus, like just having some things that maybe are supportive in a different way around that heel, and giving a little bit of extra space. Shoes are better about it now than they ever have been, and some have kind of like that retro calcaneal curve too, without sacrificing lockdown, but still giving some space. But yeah, I feel like finding ways to decrease the pressure on that posterior Achilles, because I feel like I'm seeing these Haglunds like maybe even more than before. I don't know, but people are pretty sensitive to those things, and that's usually the main complaint from that population is that they can't wear certain shoes because they just can't. Like their heel is on the backside, on the Achilles is not comfortable.
1,000%. I'm going to build off that and say I think rethinking how we do heel counters would be helpful. I mean, not completely, because people have been doing this for a while, but starting to remove some of the thought process of like only do this on like who's it? Adidas, I think, was the ones that for a long time were doing just the lateral and medial aspects where they built like have a stiff agent and then the rear part would be open or flexible. And those are beautiful because Haglunds, they're frequent. And that, what? A lot of people with insertional Achilles tendinopathy, it's the same thing where those things are really sensitive, and a hard heel counter will irritate them. And especially a shoe, like you can put a ton of padding in front of that counter, it's going to break down. Or sometimes the opposite, what happens is the padding is pushing forward so much that can actually be the irritating factor, not the counter, but the padding's pushing on there. Especially like some recent things I would avoid is where the padding is actually sitting almost on top of the calcaneus. That is really irritating to patients that I've worked with. So I'd say rethinking how we do heel counters. There's still a way to create stiff structure back there without pushing on the posterior aspect. So I challenge companies to think about that because it is really irritating and really, really difficult. And I will also say, since I typically work with an older population who have a lot more Achilles tendon issues, that's a common complaint. So 100%. Before I keep going on some other things, any other things you want to add?
I think everyone is doing a pretty good job, for the most part. Like, you're starting to see toe boxes get wider. You're starting to see a little bit more volume, supportive uppers, platforms, when appropriate, are starting to get a little bit wider. People are integrating sidewalls and things like that. Like, I feel like for the most part, people are doing a pretty good job now, and you can almost find a shoe for everyone. But I think one common theme that I'm seeing is that. I feel like that's one of the things that kind of recurrently comes up. And I don't really have a great answer for some people sometimes, where it's like some of the shoes that do have the design that might be favorable are usually performance shoes.
Right.
And it's partially because they're cutting weight. So it's like, if you look at an Adidas Takumi Sen, or like, I'm trying to think, what was the other one that did that? Saucony Endorphin Elite kind of did that. Well, they did it. Yeah, they did it. Yeah. They just had like that little like overlay around the backside. But you'll see it in performance shoes, but you don't really see it that often. The Hoka Mach X2, right? Isn't that one? Yeah. There's a few out there, but for the most part, like daily shoes, you just don't see designs that favorable in that direction. And I'm not saying to have every shoe do that, but at least like a couple of staples that are pretty easy to stand and walk and do some light runs in, I think could be a favorable option.
Yep. I would say, to add on that, I agree with you. I think a lot of things you're doing well. Some of our complaints might occur with the performance shoes where they're trying to get weight down, which makes sense. You're going to have to cut things down. I would say from a midsole standpoint and a stability standpoint, I really love to see more shoes that actually either have two things. Either actually have forefoot stability, because a lot of shoes out there, it's heel midfoot. And to be honest, there's a lot of people with forefoot stability issues, either like a varus or valgus alignment of the foot. Most commonly is going to be a little bit more valgus alignment, where their toe is elevated, and then when they try to get to the ground, they collapse inwards, and no amount of heel stability is going to do anything for that. The other way to look at this is I would love to see a couple more wedged shoes on the market. I think Brooks is holding steady with some posting stuff. A lot of other companies are kind of moving away from that. So it's nice to have some variety, but I don't think everything needs to be a guidance-based shoe. Some people are going to need medial post type stuff, which I think the Adrenaline does well. You can call it not a post. It's exactly how it feels, but it would be nice. Like, I really like the new 860. It's not the perfect shoe for me, but there's a lot of people who do well with a wedge design where your foot's actually kind of kept in an angled position. So that's something I would love to see. Not that every shoe doesn't need to do that, but it would be nice to have a little bit more variety with that, because there's plenty of people with either forefoot stability needs or that need some kind of like alignment thing with a correction. And there's plenty of shoes that did that. Like the Nike Lunar Glide actually did something very similar with their foam setup, and it worked very well for people. All right. Although that was not, I don't think that was their intention, but it worked very well because of the foam setup inside the shoe. Just don't forget the forefoot, and so wedge design with one shoe would be nice.
I like it.
Sweet. All right. So we're going to move on. So Kyle emailed in and says, do you all have any pre-race or pre-long run rituals you partake in? I drink 200 ounces of water the day before a race, or a 10 plus miler.
I used to have more than I do now. When I was younger, I would have a Cliff Bar and a cold brew coffee. That was kind of like a thing that I would do. As I got older, I started to put a little bit of electrolytes and try and get more like fluids that wasn't coffee in. And so I would have either a noon or a scratch. No specific measurement, probably about 17 ounces, like a flask-ish. or a cup, sometimes whatever the hotel room has, because if you're on the road, whatever that measures out to. And then I usually would try to have a little something to eat, whether it be a Cliff Bar, so usually some kind of a nutrition bar or something that's light on the stomach. Every once in a while, if I didn't have those and I was in the Costco grind, the Aussie Bites.
Those are great.
Pretty light on the stomach, and they have some carbs in there, so I could pop 2 of those and a noon or a scratch. Nowadays, I'm not running long enough to really like fully justify having a routine. So I haven't really had any like specific routine recently, but I feel like that was usually kind of my go-to. Something light on the stomach that still has some carbs, a little bit of protein, and some electrolytes. That was kind of nothing over the top, just a little something.
I would say I'm kind of the opposite, like kind of similar with the end product, but opposite, where I feel like I had no idea what I was doing for years. And I didn't really race. I started cross country late and didn't start till my senior year of high school. And then I jumped in college, and I spent years going, what's the pre-race routine? What's it supposed to look like? You're messing around. So I was kind of all over the place. Now it's more consistent, where one of the most important things, the 2 nights before the race, getting good sleep, really important. That's because the night before, who knows what happens. And I found that kind of 2-day rule is really, really important. So the better I can get that in, obviously trying to get good sleep is important, although I have a almost 2-year-old. So sleep is a precious and often fleeting commodity. But getting good sleep 2 nights before, I am not a fan and intentionally avoid trying to like overstuff with pasta. Like I try to eat as normal as possible the day before, but make sure I eat a good amount and make sure I'm not skimping, make sure I don't like, I'm someone that will get so focused, I'll forget to eat. And some of my students make fun of me where I'm just like, go. And I'm like, oh, I forgot to eat lunch because I just worked through this and I was tutoring, what have you. So that is a absolute no-no. And I don't skip meals, but sometimes it happens and I'll compensate for it later and make sure I get what I need. But that's an absolute no-no, the 2 days before any kind of race or long run, because it will just wreck me. The final thing is I absolutely need to eat something the morning of. I will not go in with light food. A Cliff Bar, stuff like that does not cut it. I need to have a whole meal. So I'll get up 2 to 3 hours beforehand, eat, get something in my stomach. If for whatever reason I don't get that in, I'm going to be fueling probably every 20, 30 minutes with something up until the race starts to make sure I've got calories in me. And especially with long runs now, electrolytes from the second I wake up, just start drinking that stuff, loading it, getting carbohydrates in has really helped make me feel not like crap during long runs, which is really important because when you're pushing a 50+ pound stroller, it burns a lot of calories. And so making sure I'm getting good carbohydrates in is really key. So those are my, not so much a ritual, but like I know I need to do this. I need to make sure I got good sleep, good calories, good electrolytes, and keep fueling appropriately before I go, because I know that's going to help me feel less like a turd while I'm running and racing. So.
Yeah, Loki, I'll actually add something. Some of my best races actually came from a night before playing some Mario Kart.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, like, because sometimes you're nervous and you're kind of jittery and you're thinking about the race, and it gives you something to kind of have a little bit of a competitive edge, or like you're doing something that's racing related or adjacent. Just it gets your mind off of it, and then but you're having fun, right? And then you can go to bed and actually focus on the thing on the day of. Because some people like, I mean, this is more me when I was like younger, you know, but probably high school me more so. But yeah, like you want to do well, right? And then now your brain is like thinking over and over and over again about this thing, and it's like you can chill. Like it's okay to chill, and then go and revisit the race when it comes around, when it's time to race.
Yep, it's fair. All right. So longtime follower Peter Morante, I'm sorry, Peter, if I mispronounced your last name, asked a very good question. So does heel drop, which is the difference in height between the heel and the forefoot, does drop still play a significant role as midsoles get softer and softer? David, what do you think?
I think it does, but probably not in the way that he thinks I'm going to answer it. As these foams get more and more compliant, that drop, the number is going to be less relevant as the experience. And so when you have a really soft and compliant foam, sometimes like an 8 or 9 millimeter drop shoe will probably feel more like a 4 or 5.
Yep.
And a shoe that's like a 4 or a 5 might feel closer to 0. Even though it's not, it's just when you're landing and crashing in on that thing. Yeah, like the Edge, Edge Tokyo or Sky Tokyo.
Yep.
That would be an example where that foam is so compliant that I almost have to, if I'm running fast and I'm in control, it's great. But when I have to start fighting it, now I have to, like when I'm tired, I have to almost climb out of that forefoot. And it feels much lower than it actually is from a drop standpoint. So having some drop on these really compliant shoes, I think is actually a good thing, unless you're just running super aggressively off that forefoot, which is a very small percentage of people.
I 100% agree with you that I think the dynamic nature of drop, and we've talked about this for a while, that companies will give you, and people, you can measure it yourself. You can do a static drop measurement. That is not the same as what the actual measurement's going to be when you load the shoe. And the drop is not going to be the same depending on where you're loading and what phase of gait you're in. So it will change. How much it changes is going to depend on how soft things are. This is one of the reasons as midsoles get softer and softer, I am less and less and less a fan of highly cushioned zero drop shoes, because I have found that the evidence suggests 79% of people are heel strikers, right? I'm not going to debate you on whether it's a good or bad thing. Different foot strikes just load different tissues. People will use what movement patterns and strengths they have. If you are a heel striker in a zero drop cushion shoe, that is a negative drop shoe. That's a pretty significant negative drop shoe. And I will say, just to shout out the New Balance Super Comp or SC Elite version 5 versus 4. Version 4 was really soft, had a 4mm drop. And that shoe to me felt 0 because I load the heel. It took me a while to climb out of that. The increased drop in version 5 feels a lot better. Do I still compress that soft foam? Absolutely. Does it make it feel lower drop? Yes. Does it feel as low drop as version 4? No. So I think, as David said, having a little drop is actually preferable now because the foams compress so much and so quickly. Now, it's kind of the same thing for people that land farther forward, especially with a softer forefoot. That's going to compress. You're getting a higher drop. So somebody might go, that's weird. This shoe has a moderate drop and I'm still getting patellofemoral stuff, even though I'm a forefoot striker. It's like, yeah, you're going into a higher drop and you're going to get pitched forward for that moment. So I think now it becomes more important to understand that the measurements that are given to you are not accurate, because how you load it is not going to be that number. So understanding how you load the shoe and what that number means to you as an individual is now more important, I think.
Do you think?
Great question.
Yeah, and this is a mailbag for me. Do you think reporting drop ratios is relevant at all anymore with how compliant these foams are getting?
That's a good question. I wouldn't know how else to report that. Like, I would like to know if a shoe's measurement is 0 drop versus a more moderate drop, because that kind of gives me an idea going, okay, well,
or like a gradient. Let's say like a moderate was 4 to 6 and a low was sub 4 and a high was 7+. Or 4 to 8 maybe for moderate. I don't know.
And I think almost reporting it as in that way would be better. As like, this is a 4 to 6mm drop shoe. This is a 6 to 8.
Low, moderate, high.
Yeah, I think that might be a better way rather than going, what's the exact measurement? It's like, yeah, that's not going to matter. But having a realm of going, okay, this is a really low drop shoe. I need to ease into this shoe because my Achilles tendon is a little bit sensitive right now. And that gives me versus like, oh, okay, this is a more moderate to higher drop shoe. I don't need to worry about it. Or vice versa. My patellar tendon is a little sensitive. This higher drop shoe might be a little more irritating than this lower drop one. That I think you don't necessarily have to give the exact measurement. I would say giving a range of going, this is kind of going to be in this area might be more helpful.
Cool.
Sweet. All right. This is from another longtime follower, Kim. Jesh, I'm probably going to mispronounce everybody's name. And just FYI, for people that don't know, I get made fun of constantly for pronouncing Andrea's name a billion different ways.
You said it right.
Thank you very much. Okay. So I get made fun of all the time. So if I mispronounce your name, just know that I mispronounce everything in the English language. And I don't know how I speak English. But Kim, we appreciate this. Appreciate the follow. And the longtime follow. And she's asking, what is your favorite post-run snack?
Yeah, I mean, truth be told, I'm usually racing off to work, so I don't enjoy snackies very often. But if chocolate milk counts, I do like having chocolate milk afterwards. That's kind of nice. And then I'll have whatever I have time for. So if my breakfast of choice, if I can, I usually make a quick breakfast burrito. Just whip up a few eggs, toss some cheese, and then I throw a tortilla over the pan, to kind of warm it up, and then flip it on the thing, boom, boom, roll it up, eat it, out the door. Like I try to be pretty quick and efficient with it. If I don't have time for that, it's usually whatever protein bars I have laying around or something to kind of hold me over alongside my chocolate milk.
Yep.
And if I don't have chocolate milk, then I usually have a protein shake or something. Yeah.
Yep. I will say 100% chocolate milk of some kind. I'm a particularly big fan of the Scratch Labs Recovery chocolate mix. But if that's not available, even in the summer, like just this morning, it was like 70, 80 degrees and I came back and I still made hot chocolate with like the Ghirardelli like hot cocoa mix. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm still going to do this. The other thing that's really fun that I really appreciate is I'll do that plus whipped cream and then hot honey on the top just for a little extra kick, which is really, really good. Definitely opens the sinuses up a little bit. If those, and I do my major run in the morning, so I'm usually eating a major meal after that and then rushing off to work. I will say if I'm running in the evening and I'm just sitting there and just munching, I love like highly salted pretzels. It's like some kind of carbohydrate, just munching, enjoying, or whatever dessert I can get my hand on that I'm eating before I should be eating dessert or eating dinner. Like I'll just munch. I'm looking for calories. Sweet. All right. Katie on Instagram asks, if you were doing a run across the US and could only use one pair of shoes for the whole trip, which would you pick?
Wow.
Can I go? I'll go first.
Go for it. I don't know if I have an answer immediately.
This would, right now, if it was like, I'm doing a long run, I don't know what's coming at me. I've been like loving this shoe this year, but the Asics Gel Keanu 32 would be my shoe of choice. I love that shoe. I would need lots and lots of pairs of those because it would wear out. So that might be the only issue, but I love that shoe and have been able to do just about most things in it for mileage and have enjoyed it. So I'd say that'd be my one pick.
We get to change shoes out?
Or wait, that's actually, if we couldn't, because I've already got a ton of wear on that shoe at 100 miles, so I don't even know if it would survive. I'm picturing like minimal
wear changes. Yeah, like you only get like one reasonable pair. And then maybe, obviously, I mean, the US is pretty big, so maybe you change 2 or 3 times.
Ooh,
but
actually, that might change that, actually.
Because I was trying to think of something that's really durable, but still comfortable and something I could just tank around.
Maybe the Mount to Coast P1, which I have 100 miles on that. Yeah, I mean, that's what it's meant for. Yeah. I have 100 miles on my pair. It's not the most comfortable shoe, I think, because my mechanics don't quite match it because I have a longer stride. But I wonder if with a shorter stride, and that shoe just, that company's been crushing it the long distance. I have the Mount to Coast T1. It's not quite stable enough for me, but they're starting to soften their midsole a little bit. It's getting a little bit better, so I got to give them credit. So if I needed something to last, because I need some stability, the Mount to Coast P1 actually might be it.
I'm glad you brought that up because the R1, I remember being specifically like, I don't know if this is like, it didn't have like enough like life to it. Like, I feel like it wasn't as good at doing the things I wanted to do for it to be like my daily trainer. But like, we're just slow shuffling and just like, if I'm just going to be out there for a long freaking time, like that, that shoe would actually be really comfortable. That wouldn't be a bad option.
It took me a while to figure that out because when I first was running in those, I was like, hey, I have a longer stride. Like, why isn't this working for me? But then finally, when I was like, this is an ultra marathon shoe. Let me shorten my stride, increase the cadence. And I'm like, oh, that's when it comes to life. It's not a super shoe, but it is insanely, like, there is no wear on the bottom of my P1 at 100 miles. And so you got to be able to use it right and have the right mechanics and go the right distance. So I think actually the P1 might be that shoe. I will say though, go a half size up.
I'm kind of sad.
I
have a shoe, but I can't talk about it.
You would.
This is rough. I would choose that shoe though. Darn it.
I'll have to ask him about it. Yeah, I'll ask him what shoe it is off air, and then I'll violate his DNA. Not his DNA. His NDA.
You're gonna violate my DNA. What are we doing here at Doctors of Running? Jeez. Oh my gosh.
BJ, can we remove that comment? That sounded so weird. I'm so sorry. I'm going to violate moving on, violate your NDA, your non-disclosure agreement. But all right.
Oh,
sound like mountain coast for both of us. All right, let's pretend that didn't happen. All right. Thank you. All right. Dan from LinkedIn asks, are there any this is a great question. Are there any potential impacts from all the shoes going toward higher stack heights, 40 to 45 millimeters? Actually, and I'm going to add on to this, he didn't write this, even higher than that. I feel once my go-to shoe brand started doing this, I started having a lot more issues with my hip. Could this be related to reduced proprioception in higher stack shoes? Can I start?
Go for it.
David, do you mind? So it's not just the higher stack or the reduced proprioception. We know that when you have a higher stack shoe, that since there's not going to be flexibility because you have more material there, it's stiffer. You have to really create a rocker geometry to get the thing to go forward. And when you have very tall rockered shoes, they reduce workload at the foot and ankle and they move it up to the hip and the knee. So it's not uncommon, especially as you get softer shoes, higher stack height shoes, that people will feel like their hips are working harder, which can be great for some people, but realize that there is no such thing as a shoe that fixes injuries. All they do is shift load to different areas. So if your hips aren't conditioned to tolerate that, that's where you're going to feel it. Just like on the opposite end of the spectrum, when people switch to minimal shoes or when the barefoot movement started, or one of the times it started, that people were getting foot and ankle things, Achilles tendon problems, foot stress. Yeah, you just shifted the load there. So that's where this is going. The reduced proprioception, if you're on a really soft, unstable surface, you're hit there's different strategies that people use. There's an ankle strategy, hip strategy, stepping strategies. People, if your foot is kind of confined there, you are forced into a hip strategy, which is going to make a lot of those smaller articulated muscles work a lot harder. So is that a good or bad thing? Not necessarily. It means that you're just changing the load. And if you have something where you can't use as much of your ankle proprioceptors, you're going to have to use other things to kind of catch and grasp, which some people can handle and some people either can't handle or need to condition themselves to do so. David, what do you think?
I like it. You're going to have a slight change in your loading profile on how you use your body. That's just a given. When you have those kind of high stack rockered shoes, you're going to have a little bit more joint stiffness, like literally like your contraction of your muscles around a given joint are going to tighten up around it a little bit more, which will kind of change the way that you move. So it makes sense. It's going to get moved away from your foot and ankle. It's going to go up to your hip and knee. Yeah. That's just another reason for why things can happen.
Yep.
But no, you said it really well. I don't think there's really much I can add on that.
Right. I think one of the interesting things when we started seeing some of the early super stack shoes and a lot of these super racing shoes is that all of a sudden we went from having a lot of and we still see this Achilles tendon stuff was really, really common, patellofemoral stuff. All of a sudden there's no research on this, but I anecdotally found a huge sudden increase in the number of hamstring pathologies that people were coming in when. And I was like, because the workload gets shifted to the hip and how some of the geometry can accelerate how your foot comes forward.
And the sharp rockers getting that quick heel rise.
Yep. So again, it just changes load. Is that necessarily a bad thing? I think it can be good for some people. It's going to be not good for others. So it'll just depend on where things go. And I think that's a great transition to the next question, which is Candon's also on LinkedIn asked, is there a point where stack heights just become too high? And David, I'm going to throw that your way because I went on a tangent with the first, not tangent, but went on a soapbox in the first one. But do you think there is a point where stack heights can become too high?
No, let them cook. I'm just kidding. I think that's an answer that is different for everyone. Because the Prime X Strung 2 is at close to 50, right? Or they brought it down.
Prime X Strong 2, I think, was right at 50. Version 3, which we haven't tested yet, is also right at 50 millimeters, but I don't know if that counts the insoles. So it's tall. It's a really tall shoe.
I feel like for me, my tipping point is right around probably 45 to 47-ish.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know, let's say they made a Super Blast 2 with that same foam and made it 50, would that work? It probably would. I mean, it'd be heavier. It wouldn't be the same shoe, obviously, but would it be runnable? Probably. I feel like the 2 is stable enough to where 5 extra millimeters probably would work.
Yep.
I don't know. I think it's such a personal question. I think there's a tipping point for everyone. It's just that number could be wildly different for someone who's very used to running in 30mm shoes. A 45mm shoe is going to feel like way too much. A 40 might feel like too much, especially if they're used to running in like the 20s. So I don't know. I just think there's a tipping point for everyone. I don't know if there's a hard line of like, okay, this is too far.
Right.
But as they get higher and higher, some of the stuff we just talked about, the demands to stabilize your body and use the mechanics, your biomechanics in an efficient way that makes sense, gets harder and harder to some degree, just because that lever arm gets further away from you. So you have to generate more forces to stabilize yourself and do things. But I don't think that inherently means this is too high, right? Like too high is such a interesting idea. Like what is too high? It's like, but I think there's a tipping point for everyone.
Do you remember how tall the Mizuno Rave Rebellion Pro 3 is?
It's World Athletics legal, Klein.
It is technically, but I was going to bring the reason I'm bringing this up. Yeah. Technically per running warehouse measurements, it's of 61mm in the heel, 57 in the forefoot. And what I was going to say with that is that it doesn't feel that weird. And I think there is a point though, when weight and geometry are going to limit this. I can't say which company, but I have done some wear testing for a company that had a shoe that had a trainer that was 60mm in the heel, and it just was not comfortable. It was clunky. The transition was uncomfortable. It really bugged my knee because the shoe was just so stiff and the rockers couldn't be extreme enough to accommodate that. It was really heavy. Like, yeah, it had a great foam underfoot, but the weight offset this. So I think we are right now limited by stack heights, like understandings of geometry right now, and weight. Because once you get these super stack height shoes, they're heavy. Like the Pramix Strung 2 was great because it was a beast, but it wouldn't be something I'd ever race in. And I was honestly like, while there were things I really loved about it, I was also insanely disappointed that it was not a racing shoe anymore. Like I know it's a legal racing shoe, but it was a trainer. It was too heavy to be considered for things to go fast. And I couldn't get it to go fast beyond maybe barely touching marathon pace because it was so heavy, so large. So I think that there's limiting factors, and there is a point where shoes are too tall, but you're right. I think that's going to vary to person to person. I think for me, my limit is in the 40 to 50mm range. Above that starts to be like, this is weird. And even the Rebellion Pro 3, like great shoe. I wish it was lighter. Like, I'm like, there's too much shoe here. I'm not getting that much more out of this than shoes that are lower relative stack. I know it's legal, but I feel like getting that weight down, if we had, it does need to be that tall because there are certain people that, there's a point that too much is too much. And I think finding the perfect balance of what works for the individual runner is going to be key. And more isn't necessarily better, just like less isn't necessarily better. Stiffer isn't necessarily better. More flexible isn't necessarily better. Insanely responsive, not responsive. It's finding that optimal balance for the individual that's key. So yes, I think there's a too much and a too little. All right. Chad Z from Believe in the Run says, if you had, oh gosh.
I have the list up next to me too. So if you're watching and you see my reaction, that's why. He just skipped over. Do you want me to read it?
No. We're going to get back to the other one. I feel like that. I thought that one was going to be a good one to end on.
Okay.
Chad.
So it's about that one. Okay. Gotcha.
Should we go back to that one? Should we go back to the other one?
No. We do Chad. Those are Chads.
Man, Chad. Wow. Yeah. David's going to love this question. This is like, for the OGs who listen to this is the classic, like, food type question, or like, I don't know how to answer this. But all right, Chad, this is a great question. I'll give you credit for this. She says, if you had to compare one brand's midsole foam to a flavor of ice cream, what would it be and why? That is a great question. It just, my brain stopped because I was like, I don't know how to answer that. David, you go.
As if I have a prepared answer.
That is, Chad, that is a great question. You literally made my brain stop.
One brand's midsole foam to a flavor of ice cream, what would it be and why? So you got to pick a brand, you got to pick a type of midsole, and then compare that to an ice cream. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'm partially thinking, I'm going to say Adidas Boost is Rocky Road. And it's not because Rocky Road, it sounds almost bad, but I mean this in a complimentary way.
Okay.
Rocky Road is surprisingly smooth, but it has textures and it has things in it. And Adidas Boost was one of the first times we saw a foam really just get aerated and have actual texture to it and be beaded.
Okay.
So I'm going to say Adidas Boost is Rocky Road. What about you?
Okay. I might challenge you because most of the inline models don't use Boost anymore.
I know, but I just pick a company and a foam. I'm within the rules.
We did. Chad, comment below if that technically counts. I feel like you need current day.
A current
foam.
one?
Current one.
Okay. Let me think. Come back to me.
Okay. Trying to think. This is a great question. I have a couple shoes sitting in front of me, so I'm wondering if
I'm looking at all the shoes I got to my left here as well. I'm trying to see if any of those inspire me, but I'm not sure. Oh, I mean, you could easily take the cop-out answer. There's a lot of nitrogen infused, gaseous ice creams that people are making now, and that could
I forgot about that.
That could parallel any nitrogen infused foam on the market. But that's cheating. That's just an easy way to get out of that answer. But let's see.
You know what? I'm gonna take a shot. So I really liked the Aeroglide 3 from Salomon, and I thought the foam was great. And I feel like their foams have sucked honestly for a while, and they have not been up to par, with the exception of some of their super shoes. Their one super shoe, the Fasciitis S-Lab version 2. It's not that they sucked; it's just not up to par with where the rest of the industry was, and And I feel like the Energy Foam, the Energy Evo, is it Energy Foam Evo or Energy Evo Foam? I don't know. But I feel like it is such a better foam. And when I put on the Glide 3, the reason I haven't gotten many miles on the Blaze is it's not quite stable enough for me at the moment with a little bit more narrow platform. I still appreciate it, but the foam is bouncy enough that it's this is really fun to run in. It's fun. It's simple. It's not complex. It's not like a crazy plate in there. It's just a shoe that you can put on and go and enjoy your run. And so for that reason, I'm going to say that foam reminds me of mint chocolate chip ice cream. And the reason it reminds me of that is because was my favorite ice cream flavor as a kid. And I feel like the foam is very much like this. You know what? This is simple. It's not the complex adulthood that we have, whether you're thinking about bills and your progression and trying to raise a child and, all this kind of stuff going on. It's just a simpler time. And so that's what mint chocolate chip reminds me of. And that's what the foam reminds me of, because I think it's great. It's got some bounce to it, and you can just put it on and not have to overly think about it and just go for a run. And I've really enjoyed it. And the gravel version of the Aeroglide 3 is also bomb.
Nice.
So, Chad, I appreciate you helped me pull something out I didn't know I had in me. So I think that's a great answer. We'll see what the comments say. No, it's terrible. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
It's one of your more thoughtful responses in the history of this podcast. I'm kidding.
In the history of answering these questions, yes.
No, that was
not bad with me sitting in a garage that's 105 degrees right now because I cooled it up.
I think you're doing good. Dude, I don't know, man. I'm trying to think the last time I went and got ice cream. I used to eat so much ice cream. I don't eat ice cream that much anymore.
Huh. I will say in Sherwood, Oregon, shout out for those who are either are close by, or there's a place called Handles Ice Cream that does handmade stuff, and it is bomb. I just got a animal cookie ice cream from them. It is probably hands down my favorite ice cream right now. It's great. If I ever get to have any, because once Isabella sees that I have this stuff, she's like, "I want ice cream, please." I'm like, I have to share. I love you, my child, but I don't. She's eaten my whole ice cream before. I'm like, I didn't get any. Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Come on, David. Let's see.
I think I'm going to go with Asics Flight Foam Blast Plus.
Oh, okay.
That's still in shoes.
It's in a lot of them. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, I'm within your parameters now.
Okay.
I'm going to give it Java chip.
Oh,
like a coffee Java chip kind of flavor. And the reason why is because the coffee flavor it's common enough to where it's
that's fair.
A staple-ish kind of flavor, depending on where you go. And the Java gives it just a little bit of a punch. And the reason why is because the Blast Plus is kind of a predictable, reliable foam. It's been there for a while, but it's got a little bit of spice to it. And that Java just gives it a little extra bounce. But it's still kind of a very trainer-friendly foam.
Yep. I would say that is a very good answer. Also very thoughtful. Nice job. Chad, you challenged us on that. I hope that BJ can edit out the long, awkward silences we're trying to
just
figure out our answers.
Looking at each other or the air. Like, I don't even want to know what my face looked like during some of those moments. I'm just like, whoa.
All right. So now the man himself, the one and only, Bach from bowlingislife.com asks, if you could make a 3-shoe rotation using any shoes you've ever run in, what would it be? And for those who don't know, Bach is actually a very, very good bowler, by the way. So if you look at our YouTube watch history, it's either running content or the suddenly random bowling content. It's because Bach. Whereas I'm someone who's so bad at bowling, I struggle even with the guide rails or the guardrails up. Not guide rails. Yeah, Brooks. Mine's so bad I need to have Brooks guide rails in the shoes and guardrails in the lane to make sure the ball actually stays on the thing. So anyway. 3-shoe rotation using any shoes you've ever run in. What would it be?
Yeah, I think so. I actually did kind of prepare this one. So this isn't entirely organic when I was reading over the episode before. You asked me tomorrow and maybe the answer would be different, but for right now, this is the answer. And I'm going to preface this by saying there is a little bit of sentiment in this answer because there's a shoe that's on there now which is partially going off of my memory.
Yeah.
Versus a shoe that I've actually worked out in or done, recently. But I'll start off with my daily trainer. And this is one people are familiar with. And for my daily trainer, I just need something that's kind of moderate stack, just a little bit of guidance, a durable workhorse that I can just rely to just get my miles in. You probably know where I'm going with this, but this is going to be the ASICS GT 2013.
Yeah.
It's just reliable. Like it's nothing like insanely fancy about it. It's one of in the ASICS lineup of shoes, one of the lower price point shoes. It's like what, 140, 145, something like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, shoot, I probably have 200 miles on this and it doesn't there's like not even a dent on that thing. So, that's like my daily workhorse trainer. You have a guess at what my lightweight trainer is for my workouts?
No.
All right, here we go. The Skechers Razor 3.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I would say in that colorway especially. And
it has to be the zebra colorway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I still have it. I haven't run in this specific colorway like that often. I have run in it. This is kind of more the thing that I hold on to just because like it's, I don't know, it's like super cool colorway and it's like a shoe from the past that we haven't seen anything like it in a while. Yeah. The Cyclone comes pretty close, I think, in its own way. It's still different, but this was a shoe like Hyperburst had just come out, like this infused was it CO2 infused EVA, at least at the time. And it was like moderate to high stack height for the weight at the time. It was like what, 36, I think 35 or 36 millimeters of stack. And the shoe was still sub 7 ounces. It was like 6.5 ounces, just a thin Goodyear outsole. It gripped decently well on the road. It was responsive. It has just a natural fitting shoe and riding shoe. And I would do workouts from everything from fast track work to like actual long runs in. And I was like, I think the idea of the Razor 3 is still like, that's my light workout shoe for my performance trainer. What you got? I see you making.
All right. Yeah. I'm trying to look stuff up. I'm going to do some controversial things and then controversial comments. I think for daily driver, I'm going to go with the Keanu 32.
Oh, I didn't round out my rotation.
Oh, sorry. You finished? You got to finish up. Sorry.
I thought you had a comment about the Razor.
Sorry. I was looking up shoes while you were speaking going, okay, what? Okay. I lost that. My bad.
You're all good. It'll be quick. It's just a race shoe that's blown me away this year. And it's the Edge Tokyo.
Got it.
I don't think that's any surprise to anybody. No, this shoe has simply just gone bonkers in my world. So
I was kind of hoping you were going to, I don't think you have it. They didn't let you keep it, but I was hoping you would say the Metaspeed Ray just
to get the internet trolls.
That'd be great. To be like, your ankles.
That's my daily trainer.
For those who want some entertainment, please go watch David's review of the Metaspeed Ray, where you get to see him running it and his ankle move. Obviously, this midsole is so compliant. Ankle moves all over. The comment section is great. People are like, I would never run in that shoe. Your ankles. I've been doing this for 30 years. And I was like, wow, they got some engagement there. So if you want some good entertainment, some interesting commentary, go read the comments on YouTube.
When that shoe does come on that day, we could probably find a way to get some content out, like of just daily training in that shoe for no good reason at all.
Is that what we should do at Doctors of Running? Is now just like film content that like upsets people? It's like, oh,
like
we are going to suggest
after 300 easy miles in this 4-ounce super shoe.
the best shoes to cause pronation. The best racing shoes to daily train in. No, I'm just kidding. All right. I think that's a good roundup. I will say, so my daily trainer, which I mentioned, is probably going to be the ASICS Keanu 32 right now, just because it's been a great shoe. Handles a lot. I'm just a little slightly annoyed with the durability, but that also might be my weird mechanics. Let's move on to the more not controversial, but my big sticking point. My lightweight trainer would be the Adidas Adizero Tempo 5. And Adidas, if
Nothing
any of
wrong
you
with
listen, please bring the Tempo back.
It's a great shoe.
I know, I know that I know lightweight stability shoes are not sexy anymore, right? We've lost a lot of them. Rest in peace. The DS Racer, the what was the ASICS? Why am I forgetting this? It's been gone long enough. Not the Tarther Edge. There was a stability version of the Tarther at one point.
Wait, you said it was what company? ASICS?
It was ASICS. It was a lightweight.
And it wasn't the
it was not the DS Race. Oh, it was a DS Trainer. Duh.
Well, that's why I was like, I was like, the DS was the shoe that I was thinking of. So
so DS Trainer also is gone. The Tempo's gone. The Mirage from Saucony is gone. Like there are some really solid shoes, but the Tempo was awesome. That was like if I had one shoe, it would be that one, and that's what I used it for when it was available. It was great. It was a great Tempo shoe. It was a great trainer. It was probably too aggressive for most people for training, but I'd love to see a stable Boston. That'd be cool, or like a Tempo comeback. But the Tempo 5.
I feel like the Tempo could come back. I feel like that's like it's got a long enough lineage. Like I'm just speaking out of my butt here. I don't have any inside knowledge on this. But I feel like that's something that could, as companies fall more and more into those retro kind of patterns. If nothing else, as a lifestyle shoe, man, I don't even know anymore. All these shoes are getting re-released like 15 years later with the lifestyle model. Like,
it'd be nice if they updated the foams though, because the re-releases are not usually very comfortable, to be honest. And then, so obviously ASICS Metaspeed Edge Paris would be a go-to, but I'm gonna change this up, and I'm gonna either go. I don't have the mechanics to handle this shoe. I actually have a pair still of Mizuno Wave Universe 4. What I'm actually going to go with is the Skechers Go Run Elite.
Yeah, Speed Elite.
Speed Elite.
I love it. I love that
shoe. Was awesome. That was the shoe that I ran my PR marathon in, that I had 2 weeks notification because Regina, my wife, signed me up because I was complaining about getting slow, and ran a 2:32 in that
Speed
shoe.
Elite's so fun. I wish I never got rid of that.
Great shoe. Yeah. Well, as you were talking, by the way, I was looking that shoe up going, hey, there's still models on eBay that you can find. I don't know if they're in our sizes.
We don't need to eBay it. I'm going to tell you that on air. I know. We don't need to eBay this.
I just want to see if there's a size 10. There's one for $80. I don't know what size it is, but that was a great shoe. I would love to see a newer version of that. And Skechers, you guys put out some interesting stuff. I'd like to see it. Like the new stuff is interesting. It's a really big change. If I could ask you one thing, is that bring the Speed Elite back and honestly, like just update it, but
leave the key same
components. It can be the same, or like just add a newer level foam. Shoe. It's a fun shoe, but like
Hyperburst Ice it maybe.
Yeah, Hyperburst Ice. Yeah. For what is Hyperburst? Is Ice? It's an expanded.
I don't know exactly. It's
a foam. The old original,
It's definitely an infused foam. It's it's a supercritical foam, and some of them, it's different in the different models we have. So I don't actually know, because some of them are tuned to be like kind of more bouncy, and some are more like compliant and structured. I don't know exactly.
Was there a Skechers Go Run Elite 2?
I don't think
No, there wasn't.
so.
All right, Skechers, we're asking for a Grow and Elite 2. Speed Elite 2. That's all I'm asking for. Anything else?
That's it. I think that's good.
That was sweet. I think it was a great episode. All right. So on that note, we're going to end it here. As always, you can find us on a variety of different areas and platforms. Obviously, we're on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and all the different classic places. You can also find the podcast on Spotify, iTunes, and you can always see the video version if you actually want to look at us on YouTube, where we post all this stuff and other content as we're going through life, trying to figure this stuff out and share it with you. We have episodes that come out every single week on Wednesdays, where you can hear the audio version, and then on Sundays, these videos will get posted, and you can share some time on a Sunday with us. We always really appreciate you listening. Again, we do this because we really enjoy it, and because our goal is to help educate you. Our goal is never to sell you a pair of shoes. It is to help you understand the mechanics and stuff behind the shoe, learn more about your body and how you interact with the shoe. So if you are going to buy one, you can make some better decisions, because honestly, we want you to stay healthy, enjoy your run, not necessarily need us, but at least benefit from the education so you can stay healthy. Because as PTs, that's what we hope for, and hope that you are enjoying the journey along with us, because we are learning just as much as you are.